This is the story of the disappearance of Phoenix Coldon. Before we begin, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel so you stay up to date when I post a new case. Phoenix was born in the state of Missouri in 1988 to her mother, Goldia. Later on, Goldia married a man named Lawrence Coldon, and they became a family. According to her parents, Phoenix was a kind-hearted, pleasant, and happy kid. She had a great sense of humor, and she would wake up her family on Saturday mornings by playing the piano. Goldia, Phoenix's mother, homeschooled Phoenix from 6th grade on, and Phoenix loved to learn. Her mother stressed the importance of education. The family lived in Spanish Lake, Missouri. Phoenix's parents were not the only ones that had great things to say about her. Pastor Mark Miller was the Coldon's family pastor. According to Mark, Phoenix was very friendly, very busy, high-achieving, had faith, and was highly involved in the bell choir at church. He also claims that she wasn't very worldly, and that she was a bit naive. She also seemed to be sheltered by her parents. In fact, many of Phoenix's friends claim that Goldia and Lawrence were pretty strict parents. It seems that oftentimes, Phoenix was quite secretive about her life because her parents were strict, even when she was an adult. Leslie, a friend of Phoenix's, claimed that Phoenix never had a chance to breathe being homeschooled and being in a very religious family. Leslie claimed that Phoenix actually ran away from home in 2009 and supposedly didn't talk to her mom for a while. Leslie claims that she ended up coming back home. Her parents actually claimed that this was a lie, and Goldia said that her and her daughter did not have arguments like that, but if they did, they would talk it out and fix it. In the summer of 2011, Phoenix moved back home with her parents after a few years at college. This is obviously a big change, as Phoenix had been out on her own for years. According to Tim Baker, a good friend of Phoenix's, the two met up during that Thanksgiving break of 2011, and Phoenix had told him that she was in school. It turns out that Phoenix actually did not enroll in the last semester of college for that year. It seems that during this period of time, Phoenix was hiding things from people in her life, like her friends and especially her parents. Tim explained that Phoenix had two phones, one on her family's plan and one on her own plan. Oftentimes when a person has more than one phone, it's because they're hiding something, or someone. It turns out Phoenix was hiding a lot. Phoenix was dating a boy by the name of Michael, and she actually had been living with him before she moved back home in the summer. It's pretty clear that she felt like she needed to be secretive about her boyfriend because her parents were so strict. Her parents had no idea she'd been living with Michael. Even when they used to go over to Phoenix's apartment, there were no signs of a guy living there. Phoenix was hiding things very well. In fact, she was even hiding things from her very best friend, Akira. Akira was a friend from the neighborhood Phoenix used to live in with her parents. According to Akira, Phoenix was home all the time when she was homeschooled. She also backed up that Phoenix's mom was very strict. She wouldn't want Phoenix to go far from home. Akira also claimed that when Phoenix was being homeschooled, she didn't like it. She wanted to experience things like prom. Akira says that when Phoenix moved back home that summer, she started going downhill. She had a major personality shift after moving home. Akira explained a fight that her and Phoenix had once. According to Akira, Phoenix carried a knife around on the driver's side of her door in her car. The two were fighting about something pretty minuscule, and Phoenix actually pulled the knife out at Akira. They did get over the argument, but regardless, this is a pretty big move to make in a little argument. It seems that those 6 months that Phoenix was back home, she was hiding a lot of her true feelings from Akira. Akira also claimed that Phoenix seemed quite paranoid. She would say things like, "I gotta go," and that she was leaving. Akira said that Phoenix felt like people were following her, watching her. She felt paranoid, supposedly, and she said something was after her. Akira claimed that Phoenix seemed to want to leave her boyfriend Michael, but that maybe she didn't know how. Phoenix actually started meeting with other guys, and it turns out there was another guy named Mike from school. Akira thinks maybe she was dating both Michaels. This leads us back to that second phone Phoenix had. According to phone records, Phoenix did contact her boyfriend Michael from the phone she had on her family's plan. This leads to the idea that maybe the second phone Phoenix had wasn't actually just to hide her boyfriend, but maybe to hide the other Mike she was talking to. Let's talk about the second guy, Mike. There's not a lot known about either of the men Phoenix was supposedly seeing, but the second guy had an ex-girlfriend who spoke out about him. Her identity is concealed, so we'll call her Julie. Turns out, Julie actually had a restraining order against Mike for alleged violence. Mike and Julie were together for about a year and a half. According to Julie, eventually in their relationship, Mike was possessive and angry. He became emotionally abusive and mentally abusive. He would slam her against doors and on the ground. Clearly, this guy sounds dangerous. We'll circle back to him later. Let's fast forward to December 18th, 2011, the last day Phoenix was seen by her parents. At the time, the family vehicle was in the shop, so the family was depending on Phoenix for transportation. Phoenix had a 1998 Chevy Blazer. The morning of December 18th at 11 a.m., Goldia and Phoenix go to church. They got back home that afternoon a little after 2 p.m. At 3 p.m., Phoenix walked through the living room, past her father, and out to her car. She got into the vehicle and drove off. Phoenix's parents had no idea that this would be the last time they see their daughter. The morning came, but no Phoenix. Her parents grew worried, because according to Goldia, Phoenix had never stayed away all night. Goldia called the police and an officer was sent. The officer supposedly claimed that Phoenix was grown and that she didn't have to tell her mom where she goes. Regardless, Goldia insists on a missing persons report being filed. The officer ended up running Phoenix's license plates, but nothing showed. Phoenix's social media and bank records all stopped the day she went missing. Goldia started making flyers and calling hospitals for the next 2 weeks in efforts to find her daughter. Apparently at the time, according to the parents, the St. Louis County Police did not take the situation very seriously. The Coldons were also struggling to get a lot of coverage for the case. This is where the story takes a turn. Phoenix's car was actually found less than 3 hours after Phoenix left on December 18th. It was found in a traffic lane by Interstate 70 with the engine running, the keys in the ignition, and the driver's door open. East St. Louis is a very dangerous, crime-ridden city, and it is also a huge city for sex trafficking. For the city this size, it ranks top 5 for violent crime in the US. Phoenix's mom had no idea why Phoenix would drive there in the first place. The car ended up getting towed and taken to a tow yard. The Missouri police did not find out about the whereabouts of her car for 2 weeks. This is most likely because Phoenix lived in Missouri, but the car was found across state lines in East St. Louis, Illinois, meaning that the police in both states did not communicate about this. Because the Missouri police did not find the car for 2 weeks, crucial evidence could have very well been missed. The car was impounded on December 18th, but the police did not make the connection until January. The police did go out to the tow yard to process the car. They did not find a cell phone or any indication of robbery or theft. The police were aware that she had 2 devices, but there is still information being hidden about certain phone records by police because it's confidential. This is not all the information that the police spilled. In fact, it turns out that a major part of this case had been false. It turns out that according to the police who found her car by I-70, actually said that the car was found stopped in the street, but that the engine was not running, the keys were not in the car, and the doors were actually closed. The lights were off, and the car was just parked. When Phoenix's parents were asked where they heard that the car was running with the door open, they couldn't remember and said they were unsure of where that information came from. Her mom claims that maybe she read it somewhere, but neither of them were sure. This new information changed everything. Before, it looked like maybe Phoenix was snatched right from her car, but now we know that there were actually no signs of struggle, and the car was just parked there. The officer who handled the car actually claimed that it looked like maybe the car just ran out of gas. Found in Phoenix's car was socks, CDs, and other little things. A T-Mobile bill that went into collections was also found, most likely for the second phone she had. So, how could this young woman just vanish without a trace? There are lots of theories about what happened, but first let's go back to the 2 boys that Phoenix was supposedly involved with. To start, let's talk about her boyfriend, Michael. I don't have a lot of information on Michael, but here's what we do know. According to the family phone records, Phoenix called Michael a couple times the day she went missing. One thing to note is that there was no more incoming calls after Phoenix went missing, which is something to keep in mind. The night before Phoenix went missing, her and her boyfriend had a really long conversation on the phone. Now, he supposedly said that he couldn't remember what they were talking about, but Phoenix's parents think he's a liar. Regardless, it seems that the police have cleared him as a suspect. Michael was cooperative and upfront according to them. The police don't think he has anything to do with Phoenix's disappearance. Now, let's go back to boy number 2, the other Mike. Julia, the ex-girlfriend of Mike, claimed that around Christmas in 2011, after Phoenix disappeared, she would see him researching missing persons cases, especially Phoenix's. He told her it was because it was interesting to him and he was a psychology major, but Julia was wondering why he was so obsessed with the case, and with Phoenix. He told her that Phoenix was a customer of his, but eventually let out that they had had sex. Then, for some reason, he goes on to tell her, "Why are you worried about somebody that's dead?" To me, this guy screamed suspicious, but everyone's innocent until proven guilty. Maybe he said that out of assumption, or maybe he actually does know something about what happened that day. Let's jump back to before Phoenix went missing. Phoenix was really into fencing, and according to her fencing coach, she had talked about wanting to take private lessons and do competitions again just a bit before her disappearance. On top of that, Akira, Phoenix's best friend, claims that Phoenix was thinking of going back to school. It also seemed that before Phoenix disappeared, she was fighting with her parents quite a bit. But according to Goldia, her mother, it's possible that Phoenix was actually wanting to fix things with her parents before she went missing. Of course, none of this can be fully confirmed because Phoenix is not here to tell her side of the story. Let's talk about the theories of what happened to Phoenix Coldon. The first and most obvious theory is that Phoenix was sex trafficked or taken into prostitution. Because East St. Louis is such a dangerous city, it could be possible that someone took Phoenix into sex trafficking. There was a supposed rumor that Phoenix's photo was found on a sex site, but this turned out to be a false lead and most likely a cruel hoax. It's also possible that Phoenix could have gotten involved with the wrong crowd and ended up in a bad situation. About a month before Phoenix went missing, a selfie video of her was found where she was sitting in a car, talking about how she just wanted to start over. Throughout the video, it seems that she was really upset and maybe regretful about something. Why was she so upset? The second theory is that someone may have intentionally lured her there, either willingly or against her will. Of course, the second Mike that she had relations with definitely seems a little suspicious, but there's not much evidence to show that he was involved, as far as I know. It's also possible that someone could have seen Phoenix and seen that she was vulnerable and took advantage of her. The final theory is that Phoenix left on her own to get away from everything. We knew that Phoenix seemed like she wanted to start over before she went missing. It seems that Phoenix was becoming distant and upset before she went missing. Is it possible that she just decided to leave? Let's talk about why this is possible. Phoenix was going through issues with her parents when she got home from the summer. We know that. It turns out Phoenix was actually taking money from a safe in their home. The money was Phoenix's savings bonds, and she was cashing them. It seems she was probably doing this before she moved back home for that summer. But is it possible she was taking money to prepare to leave? She took about $2,500. Information also surfaced that Phoenix actually had 2 birth certificates. Because Goldia was a single mom before meeting Lawrence, her maiden name was Reeves. Phoenix had 2 birth certificates, one with the name Phoenix Coldon and one with the name Phoenix Reeves. Could she have possibly taken on the identity of Phoenix Reeves? Looking into this identity, a private investigator found that there was a Phoenix Reeves out there with no birthday, no relatives, no social security, but an address. The address had the dates of January 2012 till June 2012. After that, it disappeared. The address turned out to be an address in Anchorage, Alaska. This seems like a major lead, but nothing was found of it, and nobody in the Alaska neighborhood knew of Phoenix, supposedly. Many people in Phoenix's life don't believe that if she left, she would be gone for this long without saying anything to anyone. It is possible that she did leave intentionally, but maybe she was tricked. Could she actually have been taken against her will, or could Phoenix still be out there living a new life? It turns out that a friend from Phoenix's church actually thought she saw Phoenix back in March of 2014. Kelly, the friend, was coming back to St. Louis from Las Vegas. She was already seated on the flight, and people were boarding. She looked up and apparently claimed she saw Phoenix with a group of women. She looked at her and said, "Phoenix?" Phoenix supposedly turned to her and said, "Oh, do I look like someone?" Kelly said, "You look like my friend Phoenix." Then, the supposed Phoenix kept walking. The woman who Kelly claims was Phoenix was wearing a motorcyclist jacket, nice earrings, necklaces, and all the women with her looked a lot like her, very attractive African-American young females. There were also 2 men with the group of girls that looked maybe to be 35 to 40 years old. When the flight landed in St. Louis, Kelly says her heart was beating fast. She told people at the airport she thinks she might have seen a missing person. They called the police and dispersed and searched throughout the place, but they didn't find her. On a scale from 1 to 10, Kelly thinks this was a 9, that it was Phoenix. If this was Phoenix, she was wearing some really nice things. Is it possible that Phoenix was being pimped? Again, we have no way to know if this was for sure Phoenix, but regardless, there's still a very good chance that Phoenix is still out there. So, what are your theories of what happened to Phoenix Coldon? Was she taken by someone? Maybe a boyfriend? Or do you think she left on her own? To this day, Phoenix Coldon has still not been found. If you have any information on the disappearance or whereabouts of Phoenix Coldon, please contact the St. Louis County tip line.